The council chamber was massive. It stretched so far that the walls disappeared into darkness. 3,000 alien delegates filled the seats, their bodies coming in every shape and color imaginable. Some had scales, some had fur. Others had skin that glowed with soft light. They all sat in their assigned places, watching the center platform where Ambassador Tae-young stood alone. Tae-young was a human. He wore a simple black suit with no decorations. His hair was dark and neatly combed. His face showed no emotion as he waited for the vote results. Behind him, a massive screen displayed numbers that kept changing. The vote was almost complete. The chamber was silent. Not even a whisper could be heard. Every eye in the room focused on the screen. The numbers stopped changing. The final count appeared in glowing letters that filled the entire display. 847 votes for banishment. Only 12 votes against it. Earth was being expelled from the Galactic Council. A tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms stood from the highest seat. This was Chancellor Vex, leader of the Vrexian Empire and head of the council. His voice boomed through the chamber without needing any microphone. "The vote is final," Vex announced. "Humanity is hereby expelled from the Galactic Council. Earth will be quarantined to its own solar system. All trade agreements are cancelled. All treaties are void. All embassy staff must leave council space within 1 lunar cycle." Tae-young stood still. He did not react. He simply listened. One by one, alien delegates stood to explain their votes. A green reptilian creature spoke about humanity's military buildup. A floating jellyfish-like being complained about human expansion into disputed territories. A crystalline entity voiced concerns about human aggression and unpredictability. "They are too dangerous," one alien said. "They move too fast," another claimed. "They cannot be trusted," a third declared. The complaints continued for an hour. Tae-young heard them all. He did not interrupt. He did not defend humanity. He simply stood there with his hands clasped behind his back. Finally, Chancellor Vex turned to the human ambassador. "You may speak now if you wish. What do you have to say for your species?" Tae-young stepped forward. The lights focused on him. 3,000 aliens waited to hear humanity's defense. They expected anger. They expected pleading. They expected threats. Instead, Tae-young smiled. "Thank you," he said simply. His voice was calm and clear. "Thank you for this decision. Humanity accepts the Council's judgment. We will comply with all terms immediately." The aliens shifted in their seats. This was not the response they expected. "We will withdraw from all Council territories," Tae-young continued. "We will recall our ambassadors, our traders, our citizens. We will remove ourselves completely from galactic affairs. You have made your position clear and we respect it." He bowed slightly, a gesture of respect from human culture. "We wish you all well in your future endeavors." Then he turned and walked toward the exit. His footsteps echoed in the silent chamber. No one spoke. No one moved. They watched the human ambassador leave without anger, without protest, without any sign of the violence they feared from his species. As Tae-young reached the door, he pulled a small device from his pocket. It looked like a simple communication pad. He pressed one button and sent a single encrypted message. The message contained only 2 words. "Begin withdrawal." The door closed behind him. In the council chamber, the aliens began to talk among themselves. Many felt relieved. The dangerous humans had accepted their fate peacefully. Some felt uneasy. The humans' calm acceptance seemed wrong somehow. A few wise delegates felt the first stirrings of concern. They had expected a fight but got compliance instead. That worried them more than any threat would have. Tae-young walked through the long corridors of the council station. His face remained neutral, but inside he felt many things. Not anger at the aliens, not sadness at the banishment. Instead, he felt something close to relief, and beneath that, a cold satisfaction. Humanity had known this day would come. For 30 years, they had been part of the council. For 30 years, they had watched and learned. They had seen how the other species operated. They had noticed the patterns, the politics, the weaknesses, and for 20 of those 30 years, humanity had been preparing for rejection. The council thought they were punishing Earth. They thought they were protecting the galaxy from dangerous humans. They did not understand what they had really done. They had freed humanity from the rules that held them back. Tae-young reached his ship. It was a small diplomatic vessel, painted white with blue markings. Inside, his staff waited for him. "They looked worried, sir," one of them said. "The vote went exactly as predicted," Tae-young finished. He moved to the pilot's seat and began the launch sequence. Contact all human vessels. Begin phase 1 of the withdrawal plan. Every human, every piece of human technology, every bit of human influence, all of it comes home. What about the joint projects, sir? The research stations we built with other species? The medical facilities? The power plants? Tae-young's smile returned. It was not a cruel smile, but it was knowing. Everything. We take everything. Or we destroy what we cannot take. Nothing we built stays behind. The staff member hesitated. Sir, that will cripple dozens of stations. Hundreds of colonies depend on our infrastructure. Yes, Tae-young agreed. They do, but we are being banished, are we not? Quarantined? Then they will learn to survive without us. That is what they voted for. The ship lifted off from the docking bay. Through the windows, Tae-young could see the massive council station floating in space. It was beautiful, built over centuries by hundreds of species working together. Humans had contributed to parts of it, the fusion reactors in Section 7, the medical bay in Section 12, the navigation systems that guided ships safely to dock. All of that would soon stop working. As the ship turned toward Earth, Tae-young activated the ship's long-range communicator. He sent messages to every human outpost in the galaxy. The same message went to human colonies, research teams, trading posts, and military bases. Come home, the message said. Bring everything with you. Leave nothing behind. It is time. Across the galaxy, humans received the message. They understood what it meant. They had been trained for this moment. Every human in council space knew the withdrawal plan. They had practiced it. They had prepared for it. Now they would execute it, and the galaxy would learn a hard lesson. The council had voted to banish Earth. They thought they were getting rid of a problem. They did not realize they were giving up something precious. They did not understand how much they had come to depend on humanity, but they would learn. Soon they would learn. 3 weeks had passed since the vote. Captain Jiwoo stood on the bridge of her cargo ship, watching the Andromeda trade nexus grow smaller on the view screen. Her ship, the Morning Star, was the last human vessel leaving the massive station. The nexus was one of the largest trading posts in the galaxy. It floated at the intersection of 7 major trade routes. Over 5 million beings lived and worked there. Ships from hundreds of species docked there every day to buy, sell, and trade goods from across known space. Humans had helped build this place. 50 years ago, when the nexus was just a dream, human engineers had solved the power problem. They had designed the fusion reactors that made such a large station possible. They had created the life support systems that could handle so many different species. They had written the computer programs that managed millions of transactions every hour. Now all of that was leaving with them. Jiwoo looked at her crew. They were busy at their stations, monitoring the cargo hold and engines. But she could see the sadness on their faces. Many of them had lived on the Nexus for years. They had friends there. They had favorite restaurants and shops. They had built lives in this place. Captain, her first officer called out. The last container is secured. All personnel are aboard. We are ready to depart, Jiwoo nodded. Take us out. Slowly. Give the station crew time to understand what is happening. The Morning Star moved away from the docking bay. But this was not a normal departure. Normally, when a ship left, the station remained bright and active. Not today. Behind them, Section 7 of the Nexus went dark. The lights flickered and died. The fusion reactor that humans had installed was gone. Engineer Hyun-soo had spent the last 3 weeks carefully removing it, piece by piece loading it onto cargo ships bound for Earth. Without that reactor, the Nexus lost 40% of its power generation. Immediately, the station's computer systems began shutting down non-essential systems to conserve energy. Thousands of shops and restaurants went dark. Residential sections switched to emergency lighting. On the bridge, Jiwoo pulled up a status display. It showed what was happening across the station as human systems went offline. The medical bay in Section 12 had just lost access to its advanced diagnostic equipment. Dr. Dawn had wiped the computers clean before leaving. Decades of research data, treatment protocols, and medical breakthroughs, all of it was gone. Dayoon had not wanted to do it. Jiwoo remembered the doctor's face when she received the order. Dayoon had worked in that medical bay for 15 years. She had saved thousands of lives there. She had trained alien doctors in human medical techniques. Please, Dayoon had said, let me leave the data. They need it. There are patients who will die without access to those treatments. Jiwoo had felt the same pain. But orders were orders. I am sorry, she had told the doctor. But we are being banished. We cannot leave our technology behind. If they want human medicine, they should not have voted to expel us, Daun had obeyed. She had erased everything. And now the medical bay's computers showed error messages where life-saving information used to be. The navigation systems were next. Every ship that docked at the Nexus used the automated guidance system to find their berth safely. Hundreds of ships arrived and departed every day. The system tracked them all, preventing collisions and ensuring smooth traffic flow. That system had been designed by humans. Programmed by humans, maintained by humans. Now it defaulted to the old software technology from 70 years ago. It was slow and unreliable. It could only handle a fraction of the traffic. Ships would have to wait longer to dock. Some would have to be turned away. Accidents would happen. Captain, her communications officer said, "We are receiving a transmission from the station commander." On screen, Jiwoo ordered. A Vrexian appeared on the view screen. He was the station commander, appointed by the Galactic Council to oversee operations. His blue skin looked pale and his forearms gestured frantically. "Captain Jiwoo," he said, "you cannot do this. We have treaties. We have agreements. You cannot remove this equipment." Jiwoo kept her face neutral. "Commander, we are simply complying with the Council's directive. Humanity is banned from galactic space. We are taking our people and our property home." "Your property?" The commander's voice rose. "That fusion reactor has been here for 50 years. It belongs to the station now." "No," Jiwoo said calmly. "It was leased to the station, with maintenance provided by human engineers. The lease agreement clearly states that if the agreement is terminated, the equipment returns to human ownership. The Council terminated all agreements with Earth." The commander's face showed confusion and anger. But we need that reactor. The station cannot function at full capacity without it. Then perhaps the Council should have considered that before voting to banish us." "This is sabotage." Jiwoo's eyes went cold. "No, Commander. Sabotage would be if we destroyed the reactor. We are taking it home intact. Sabotage would be if we left viruses in your computer systems. We simply erased our own data. Sabotage would be if we damaged your station on our way out. We are leaving peacefully, exactly as the Council demanded." The commander opened his mouth, then closed it. He had no response. "We are leaving your space now, Commander," Jiwoo continued. "I wish you and your crew well. Goodbye." She ended the transmission. On the view screen, the Nexus continued to fade into the distance. More sections were going dark as human systems failed. The station that had blazed with light now looked dim and sick. "How many other stations are experiencing this?" she asked her first officer. He checked his console. "Reports are coming in from across the galaxy, Captain. The exodus is proceeding as planned. Every human is withdrawing. Every piece of human technology is being removed or destroyed." Jiwoo pulled up a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked locations where human withdrawal was causing problems. There were hundreds of them. The Proxima research station had lost its quantum computers. The Centauri colony could no longer grow crops because the agricultural pods used human genetic engineering. The Vega shipyards had ground to a halt because the construction drones ran on human software. Everywhere humans had worked, everywhere they had helped, everywhere they had contributed. Now there were gaps. Holes in the fabric of galactic civilization. "They did not think we mattered," Jiwoo said quietly. "They thought they could throw us away like garbage. They are about to learn how wrong they were." Her first officer nodded. The Galaxy Advanced Research Institute just sent out an emergency message. They lost access to the quantum physics database. Every paper humans published, every discovery we shared, every breakthrough we made, all gone. Scientists across the galaxy are complaining that years of research just disappeared. Jiwoo felt no sympathy. They voted for this. Every single delegate who raised their hand to banish Earth voted to lose access to human knowledge. "We are just giving them what they wanted." The morning star reached the edge of the system. Jiwoo took one last look at the trade nexus. It looked so small now, so vulnerable. She had lived there for 8 years. She had loved it there, but the Council had made their choice. They wanted humanity gone. They wanted to feel safe from the dangerous, aggressive, unpredictable humans. Now they would have their wish. But safety came with a price. They would learn to live without human innovation, without human medicine, without human engineering. They would learn that sometimes the things you fear are the same things you need. "Set course for Earth," Jiwoo ordered. "It is time to go home." The ship turned and jumped to faster than light speed. Behind them, the Andromeda trade nexus struggled with power failures, system crashes, and equipment malfunctions. the first signs of what was about to happen across the entire galaxy. The Council had voted to banish Earth. They thought they were solving a problem. They did not realize they were creating a crisis. A crisis that was only just beginning. 6 months had passed since the banishment. The Galactic Council chamber was full again, but the mood was very different from the last meeting. The delegates were not celebrating. They were arguing. Some were shouting. Others looked worried and scared. Chancellor Vex tried to maintain order, but even his booming voice struggled to be heard over the chaos. Finally, he activated the sound-dampening field. Every voice in the chamber was suddenly muted except his own. "Silence," he commanded. "We will have order." The delegates stopped shouting, though many still looked angry. Vex gestured to a Peltheran counselor to speak. The small furry creature stood on his seat so others could see him. His name was Yunji, and he looked exhausted. "The shipping crisis continues to worsen," Yunji reported. "Trade routes that have been safe for centuries are now dangerous. Ship accidents have increased by 300%. 12 vessels were lost just this week." Murmurs of concern rippled through the chamber. "How is this possible?" another delegate asked. "These routes have been used for thousands of years." Yunji pulled up a holographic display. It showed shipping lanes across multiple sectors, marked with red dots where accidents had occurred. The navigation algorithms, they were designed by human mathematicians. When the humans withdrew, they took the algorithms with them. "We have reverted to older systems, but they are not adequate for modern traffic levels." A Dravian senator stood up. Her scales were bright red with agitation. "This is sabotage. The humans deliberately left us crippled." "No," Yunji said firmly. "They simply took back what was theirs. We expelled them, they left. They did not attack us or damage anything. They just took their technology home." "The result is the same," the Dravian insisted. Another delegate spoke up. "The shipping problems are not the worst of it. The medical crisis is worse, much worse." This delegate was a doctor named Kyung-soo. He was human, no wait. He looked human, but he was not. He was a Herathan, a species that resembled humans. He had stayed after the banishment to help with the transition. Kyung-soo displayed medical data on the main screen. "The Xerian plague has returned. It was eradicated 20 years ago using a treatment developed by human doctors. But that treatment protocol was removed from our databases when the humans left. The disease is spreading across 4 sectors. Millions are infected. Thousands have already died." The chamber fell silent. The Xerian plague was ancient and deadly. It had killed billions before humans found the cure. "Can you recreate the treatment?" Chancellor Vex asked. Kyung-soo shook his head. "We are trying. But human medicine is very different from ours. They think differently. They see patterns we miss. The cure involves complex genetic therapies that we do not fully understand. It could take years to redevelop it. Maybe decades. Then contact Earth," the Dravian senator demanded. "Demand they give us the treatment. This is a humanitarian crisis." "We tried," Yunji said quietly. Ambassador Tae-young responded. He said that Earth respects the quarantine. They will not share technology with the Council. They will not interfere in galactic affairs. That is what we voted for. "But beings are dying." "Yes, they are. And Earth is letting it happen because we told them to stay away." Another delegate stood. This one represented an agricultural colony world. "It is not just medicine and shipping. Our crops are failing. For the last 30 years, we have used genetically modified seeds developed by human agricultural scientists. These seeds produce 3 times the normal yield. They were resistant to disease and drought. When the humans left, they stopped supplying new seeds. Our stockpile is depleted. This season's harvest will be less than half of what we need. People will starve." More voices rose up. A mining colony reported equipment failures because human engineers were no longer available for maintenance. A research station complained that crucial experiments had to be abandoned because human-designed quantum computers had been removed. The industrial world said their factories were operating at 30% capacity because human automation software was gone. The list went on and on. Every aspect of galactic life had been touched by human innovation, and now all of it was gone. Chancellor Vex listened to each complaint. His face grew darker with each report. Finally, he had heard enough. "This is unacceptable. The humans cannot be allowed to hold the galaxy hostage like this." "They are not holding us hostage," Yunji pointed out. "They are simply absent. We told them to leave. They left. They should have left the technology behind. It was a gift to the galaxy, was it?" Yunji asked. "Or did we simply assume it was?" Did we ever ask what would happen if humanity left? Did we ever consider how much we had come to depend on them? The Dravian senator stood again. I propose we take action. Military action. We should send a fleet to Earth and force them to restore the technology. We have superior numbers. They are just one species confined to one system. Several delegates voiced agreement. The idea of forcing humanity to help seemed reasonable to them. They had the power. They had the numbers. Surely Earth would comply with a show of force. Yunji looked at them in disbelief. You want to attack Earth? The species we just banished because we thought they were too aggressive and militaristic? We have no choice, the Dravian said. They are letting the galaxy suffer. Then let me show you something, Yunji said. He pulled up new data on the main screen. These are intelligence reports from the Sol system. Observe what humanity has been doing during their 6 months of isolation. The screen showed scans of Earth's solar system. The delegates leaned forward to look. What they saw made several of them gasp. Ships. Thousands of ships. They filled the space around Earth like a swarm of insects. But these were not cargo ships or civilian vessels. These were military craft. Warships of designs the Council had never seen before. That is impossible, someone said. They could not have built so many ships in 6 months. They did not, Yunji explained. They built them over the last 20 years. While we thought they were being too militaristic, they were actually preparing for this exact situation. They knew we would eventually banish them. He zoomed in on one area of the display. Look at the weapons. Our analysts have studied these ships. They use technology we do not recognize, weapons based on principles we do not understand. And look here! He pointed to massive structures orbiting Jupiter. We do not know what these are. Our best guess is that they are defensive platforms, but they could be anything. Chancellor Vex stared at the screen. His confident demeanor had vanished. How powerful are these defenses? We do not know, but our military advisors estimate that attacking the Sol system would require at least half of our combined fleet strength, and even then, success is not guaranteed. The casualties would be enormous. The chamber was silent. The delegates were beginning to understand their situation. They had expelled humanity thinking they were removing a threat. Instead, they had created an enemy far more dangerous than before. Perhaps we should negotiate, someone suggested quietly. Ambassador Tae-young has agreed to a communication, Yunji said. He will speak with us now if the Council wishes. Vex nodded reluctantly. A screen activated showing Tae-young sitting in a simple office. He looked the same as always, calm, composed, and faintly smiling. Greetings, Chancellor, Tae-young said. How may I help the Council? You know why we are calling, Vex said. The galaxy is suffering. We need your help, do you? Tae-young tilted his head. I was under the impression that the galaxy wanted nothing to do with humanity. 847 delegates voted to expel us from your community. That was a mistake, the Dravian senator blurted out. We see that now. We need you. We need your technology, your medicine, your expertise. Tae-young's smile did not change. I see. So when you needed to feel safe from us, you banished us. Now that you need our help, you want us back. How convenient. Beings are dying, Vex said firmly. Does humanity not care? Of course we care, Tae-young replied. We care very much. But we also respect the boundaries you set. You quarantined us to our solar system. You told us to stay away. We are honoring your wishes. We made a mistake, Yunji said. We admit it. We were wrong to expel you. Please, will you help us? Tae-young was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was colder. Help you? After you branded us as dangerous. After you threw us out. After you celebrated our departure. Now you want help, yes, Vex said. Name your price. What do you want? Nothing, Tae-young said. We want nothing from you. We will remain in our system. We will continue to develop our civilization. And you will learn to solve your own problems without depending on humanity. You would let millions die to make a point? The Dravian accused. Tae-young's eyes went hard. We are not letting anyone die. You are letting them die. You created the situation. You chose to reject our help. Now you must live with that choice. He paused, then continued more softly. But I will give you some free advice. Before you consider military action against Earth, I suggest you review your intelligence reports very carefully. Study what we have built in the Sol system. Ask yourselves if you truly want to test our defenses. We did not spend 20 years preparing just to surrender when threatened. The transmission ended. The war room deep inside the Council headquarters was cold and dark. Only the light from holographic displays illuminated the faces of those gathered there. Military commanders from a dozen species stood around a central table, studying the data that intelligence officers had collected about Earth's defenses. Commander Bora's name appeared repeatedly in the reports. She was the leader of Earth's defense fleet, a human woman who had risen through military ranks faster than anyone in recorded history. The aliens had watched her career with concern even before the banishment. Now they studied everything known about her with growing fear. Her fleet numbers 4,200 ships, a military analyst reported. He was a Keltorian, a species known for strategic thinking. This is more than any single member species possesses. The ships use modular design, allowing for rapid repair and modification. Chancellor Vex studied the hologram of a human warship. It looked sleek and dangerous, covered in weapon ports and armored plating. What about their technology level? Our intelligence suggested they were perhaps 10 years ahead of standard galactic military technology. The analyst shook his head. That intelligence was wrong. Very wrong. We now believe they are at least 50 years ahead. Possibly more in certain areas. Silence filled the room. Explain, Vex commanded. The analyst changed the hologram to show a close-up of a weapon system. This is what we believe to be an energy lance. It uses contained plasma accelerated to near light speed. Our shield technology cannot stop it. Onshot can cut through a battlecruiser like a knife through water. He changed the image again. This is their defense grid. It uses quantum entanglement for instantaneous coordination across the entire system. Every defense platform, every ship, every weapons battery acts as one unified system. There are no communication delays, no chance to exploit gaps in their coverage. A Dravian general leaned forward. Quantum entanglement for communications? That is theoretical. We have not been able to make it work reliably. They have, the analyst said simply. Dr. Young-Ho published 3 papers on quantum communication theory before the banishment. We thought they were just theoretical work. We were wrong. He was describing systems they had already built and tested. Another commander spoke up. What about these structures around Jupiter? Have we identified them yet? The analyst looked uncomfortable. No. We have 17 different theories about what they might be. None of them are good for us. Show me, Vex ordered. The hologram changed to show massive structures orbiting Jupiter. They were enormous. Each one was the size of a small moon. There were 6 of them, arranged in a perfect hexagon around the giant planet. Theory 1. They are weapon platforms. If true, they likely possess firepower equivalent to 100 battlecruisers each. Theory 2. They are shield generators creating a defensive barrier around the entire inner solar system. Theory 3. They are sensor arrays capable of detecting any ship entering the system from any direction. The analyst paused. Theory 4. They are all of these things at once. The room was silent. The military commanders looked at each other. The implications were clear. Attacking Earth would be suicide. A human name appeared in the next set of reports. Strategist Haywan. She was the architect of Earth's defensive strategy. The report described her as brilliant, ruthless, and completely focused on protecting her homeworld. Haywan's defensive doctrine is built on a simple principle, the analyst continued. Total defense. Earth does not need to conquer anyone. They do not need to expand. They only need to make their system impossible to attack, and they have succeeded. He pulled up more data. Look at the asteroid belt. They have fortified it. Every large asteroid has been turned into a weapons platform or a manufacturing facility. If a fleet tried to pass through, they would face fire from thousands of positions. It would be a killing field. What about going around the belt? Someone asked. Then you face the outer system defenses. Gas mining stations around Saturn and Uranus have been militarized. And those structures around Jupiter can likely target anything in the outer system. There is no safe approach. Vex studied the display for a long time. Finally, he asked the question everyone was thinking. Can we win if we attack? The Keltorian analyst looked at his fellow officers. None of them wanted to answer. Finally, he spoke. If we commit half our combined military strength, that is 15,000 ships, from all member species, we estimate a 60% chance of breaking through their defenses and reaching Earth. 60%. That is acceptable, a Dravian commander said. Let me finish, the analyst said sharply. 60% chance of reaching Earth, but our casualties would be catastrophic. We estimate losing at least 10,000 ships, maybe more, and that is just to reach the planet. Actually conquering Earth would require ground forces fighting against a prepared population on their homeworld. Historical data suggests that would fail. No successful planetary invasion has ever been recorded against a unified, technologically advanced homeworld. He paused. And there is one more thing. We do not know what other surprises they have waiting. Humans are creative. They think in ways we do not expect. Any attack plan we make assumes we know all their capabilities. That assumption is probably wrong. The room fell into uncomfortable silence. The commanders looked at each other. The cost of attacking Earth was too high. The chance of success was too low. So we do nothing, Vex asked. We let them dictate terms to us? We negotiate, the Keltorian suggested. We find a way to restore relations without military force. Tae-Young refused to negotiate, Vex reminded them. Then we make him an offer he cannot refuse. We give him whatever he wants. A Vrexian officer shook his head. You do not understand humans. They do not want conquest. They do not want tribute. They do not want to rule over us. They simply want to be left alone. That is what Tae-Young made clear. Then what do we do? Vex demanded. Watch the galaxy fall apart? Another analyst spoke up. This one was older, with gray fur and tired eyes. Perhaps that's exactly what we need to do. Let the crisis continue. Let it get worse. When beings are desperate enough, when the suffering is great enough, the Council will have no choice but to accept whatever terms humanity offers. That could take years, someone protested. Yes, it could, but we have no other option. We expelled them. We told them we did not need them. Now we must prove we do need them, so badly that we will accept any condition to get their help back. Vex looked around the room. He saw defeat on every face. These were his best military minds, and they were telling him that war was impossible, that humanity had made themselves untouchable. Very well, he said finally. No military action, but continue monitoring the Sol system. I want to know immediately if anything changes. If they show any weakness, any vulnerability, I want to know about it. The meeting ended. The commanders filed out, leaving Vex alone with his thoughts. He stared at the hologram of Earth, a small blue and green planet that had become the greatest power in the galaxy without firing a shot. He thought about the vote 6 months ago. He remembered feeling relieved when humanity accepted their banishment peacefully. He had thought they were avoiding a war. Now he understood. There was no war because humanity did not need to fight. They had already won. Days passed. The Council tried to function normally, but the problems kept growing. More ships were lost in accidents. More beings died from diseases that were once cured. More colonies faced starvation. The galaxy was slowly falling apart. Yunji compiled a report on the economic impact. The numbers were staggering. Galactic trade had decreased by 40%. Medical costs had tripled. Agricultural production was down by 60% in regions that depended on human seed technology. We are in collapse, he told Vex privately. Not fast collapse. Slow collapse. But if this continues, galactic civilization will regress to pre-contact levels within a generation. Vex read the report carefully. Then he made a decision. Contact Tae-Young again. Tell him I want to speak with him personally, not as chancellor to ambassador. As one leader to another. The message was sent. To everyone's surprise, Tae-Young agreed. The conversation took place in a secure channel. No other council members were present. Just Vex and Tae-Young, two leaders facing each other across the void of space. What do you want from us? Vex asked without preamble. What will it take for humanity to help the galaxy again? Tae-Young considered the question. When he answered, his voice was serious. You misunderstand our position. We do not want anything from you. We are not holding the galaxy hostage. We are simply doing what you asked, staying in our own space, developing our own civilization, leaving you alone. But the galaxy needs you. Yes, it does. And perhaps that is the lesson here. Perhaps you needed to learn that humanity is not your enemy. We are not a threat to be banished. We are partners, equals. And you cannot simply throw away your partners when they make you uncomfortable. We understand that now, Vex said. We made a mistake. A terrible mistake. What can we do to fix it? Tae-Young smiled sadly. Nothing, not yet. You must fix yourselves first. Learn to respect us. Learn to see us as equals, not as dangerous children who need to be controlled. When you have learned that lesson, truly learned it, then perhaps we can talk about the future. How long will that take? As long as it takes. Years, perhaps. Maybe decade 2 years had passed since the banishment. The galaxy had changed. The bright, prosperous civilization that once spanned thousands of worlds had dimmed. Not collapsed, the Council had managed to prevent total breakdown, but diminished, reduced. Lesser than it had been. Trade routes still functioned, but they were slower and more dangerous. Medical care still existed, but diseases that were once easily cured now required long, expensive treatments. Colonies still grew food, but yields were lower and famines had become common in some regions. The galaxy had learned to function without humanity. But it had paid a heavy price for that lesson. Inside the Sol system, behind defenses that no one dared challenge, humanity thrived. Explorer Subin stood on the observation deck of a new colony ship, watching as the vessel approached Titan, one of Saturn's moons. Below her, she could see the domed cities that now covered much of the moon's surface. 2 million humans lived on Titan. Another 5 million lived in orbital habitats around Saturn. Mars had a population of 50 million. Venus, despite its harsh environment, housed 30 million people in cloud cities floating high in the atmosphere. Even Mercury had colonies built deep underground where the temperature was stable. Humanity had spread throughout their solar system like a flower blooming. Without the need to share resources with other species, without the restrictions of Council regulations, they had built and expanded at a pace that shocked even themselves. "It is beautiful," Subin said to her companion, a young engineer named Minho. Minho nodded. He was looking at a display showing the orbital infrastructure. Massive space stations orbited every major planet. Asteroid mining operations extracted resources from thousands of rocks in the belt. Solar collectors around Mercury generated enough power for the entire human civilization. "We have built more in 2 years than we built in the previous 30, Minho observed. Without Council approval processes, without environmental impact studies that took years to complete, without compromising with species who thought our projects were too ambitious." "Do you miss it?" Subin asked. "The galaxy, I mean. Working with other species, seeing alien worlds," Minho thought about it. "Sometimes, but mostly no. We were always treated like junior partners, like children who needed supervision. Now we are free to make our own choices, our own mistakes. I prefer it." Their conversation was interrupted by an announcement. "All personnel prepare for departure. We will be making the journey to Neptune's orbit to examine the ice mining operations." The ship moved smoothly through space. Subin watched Titan recede behind them. She thought about her work as an explorer. Before the banishment, she had led expeditions to alien worlds, always working with mixed crews, always following Council protocols. It had been exciting but frustrating. Now she explored humanity's own solar system, and there was more than enough to discover. The moons of Jupiter alone held more mysteries than she could explore in a lifetime. And beyond that, the Kuiper Belt and the Oort cloud waited, full of resources and opportunities. On Earth, in a laboratory in Seoul, Dr. Minho, a different Minho, a physicist, was making history. He had just completed a breakthrough in faster-than-light travel. The new drive design was 3 times more efficient than anything the galaxy used. It would allow human ships to cross distances in days that took the Council's ships weeks to traverse. Minho shared his findings with the research team. They celebrated quietly. This was how progress happened now. Rapid, unconstrained by the need to share discoveries with hundreds of alien species, many of whom moved at a glacial pace. "Should we publish this?" one of his assistants asked. "The galaxy could benefit from this technology." Minho shook his head. "No, not yet. Maybe not ever. They expelled us. They told us to stay in our space. So we will keep our discoveries to ourselves." It was not cruelty. It was simple pragmatism. Humanity had learned that their innovations were valuable, perhaps more valuable than they had realized. They would not give them away freely anymore. In another part of Earth, in a building in Busan, artist Hana was finishing a sculpture. It was made of metal and light, depicting a human figure reaching toward the stars. The figure's face showed determination and pride. The sculpture was titled Unbound. It represented humanity's new spirit. Free from Council restrictions, free from alien judgment, free to be themselves. Hana's work had become famous across human space. Her art captured the mood of their civilization, proud, independent, and looking toward their own future rather than seeking approval from others. A message came through on the global network. It was from Ambassador Tae Young. He was making an announcement that everyone would want to hear. Tae Young appeared on screens across the solar system. He looked older now. His hair had gone completely white. But his eyes were still sharp, still intelligent. "My fellow humans," he began. "I have news to share. The Galactic Council has once again requested a meeting. They wish to discuss restoring Earth's membership in the Council. They are offering full voting rights, representation in all Council committees, and a formal apology for the banishment." Excited whispers rippled through humanity. Return to the galaxy? The chance to explore beyond their solar system again? To trade with alien species? To share knowledge? But Tae Young raised his hand for silence. "I have declined their offer." Shock, surprise, confusion. These emotions spread across human space like a wave. Tae Young continued, "I know many of you are surprised. Some of you may be disappointed. Let me explain my reasoning. 2 years ago, the Council voted to expel us. They did not do this because we had done anything wrong. They did it because we made them uncomfortable. Because we were different. Because they feared what we might become." He paused. "In these 2 years, we have proven something important. We have proven that we do not need the Council's approval to prosper. We do not need their permission to advance. We do not need their validation to be successful. We have built a civilization here in our own solar system that rivals anything in the galaxy. Our technology has advanced beyond theirs. Our economy is strong. Our people are happy. We have done all of this by ourselves without anyone's help." Another pause. "The Council wants us back now because they realize they need us. They need our medicine. They need our technology. They need our innovations. But do we need them?" Tae Young's expression became stern. "I have told the Council that humanity will remain independent. We will not rejoin their community. Not because we hate them. Not because we seek revenge. But because we have learned to value our independence. However, I've also told them this. In a few centuries, when humanity is ready to reach for the stars beyond our solar system, we will do so on our own terms. Not as junior members seeking acceptance, not as a species asking permission, but as equals. When we leave this solar system, we will do so with the confidence that we are the equal of any species in the galaxy. And if the Council wishes to interact with us then, it will be as partners, not as subordinates." The message ended. Across human space, people discussed Tae Young's decision. Some disagreed. Some thought humanity should rejoin the galaxy now, take advantage of the opportunity, but most agreed with their ambassador. They had learned the hard lesson that the Council taught them. They did not need the galaxy's approval. They only needed themselves. On the Council station, Chancellor Vex received Tae Young's response. He read it carefully, then set it aside. He was not surprised. He had known what the answer would be before he asked. Yoonji, the Peltheran counselor, visited Vex in his private office. "They refused," Vex said simply. "I know," Yoonji replied. "I expected it. They are teaching us a lesson. We thought we could discard them and then take them back when convenient. They are showing us that relationships do not work that way." "So what now?" Vex asked. "Now we accept the new reality. Humanity is no longer part of the galactic community. They are a separate civilization, developing in their own space. We must learn to respect their boundaries as they respect ours. And when they do reach beyond their solar system," Yoonji smiled slightly, "then we will meet them as equals. As partners, not as subjects or subordinates. That is what they are trying to teach us." Vex nodded slowly. He understood now. The Council had made a terrible mistake 2 years ago. They had treated humanity like a problem to be solved. They had failed to see humans as equals. Now humanity was teaching them the cost of that failure. Not through war, not through violence, but through absence, by showing the galaxy what it lost when it pushed humanity away. It was, Vex had to admit, a masterful strategy. Humanity had turned their banishment into a source of strength. They had used isolation to grow stronger, more united, more advanced. And someday, when they finally did leave their solar system, they would do so as one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. A civilization that had learned it did not need anyone's approval to be great. Back on Earth, in his office, Ambassador Tae Young sat alone. He looked out the window at the sky. Somewhere up there, beyond the atmosphere, beyond the orbital stations, beyond the defensive platforms, was the rest of the galaxy. He did not hate the aliens who had banished humanity. He did not seek revenge, but he also would not forget the lesson they had taught. The galaxy had voted to banish Earth. This but humanity is pat.